On Global TV News Express, National Association of Nigerian Students plans a January 14 protest at Villa over tax laws. In business, banks to start charging 15 naira stamp duty from January 1st. On foreign scene, Mali, Burkina Faso to restrict entry for U.S. nationals in reciprocal move. In sports, Onyedika appreciates African praise. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Sadia Yakubu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channels 276. And now the news in details. The National Association of Nigerian Students has demanded the immediate sack of the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zak Adedeji, over what he described as gross incompetence, poor performance and total failure, especially in the design, execution and public enlightenment about tax reform law, scheduled to take place effect from January 1st, 2026. This comes as the Students' Union has announced January 14, 2026 as a National Day of Action against a controversial law, with plans on the way to mobilize students nationwide for a protest to Presidential Villa Gate the same day. This announcement came a few hours after President Bola Tinubu insisted that there was no going back on the January 1st, 2026 tax law commencement. The federal government says its economic reforms will not be considered successful until they produce measurable improvements in the living conditions of Nigerians. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Bagudu, made a declaration in Abuja during the ministry's top management meeting. Bagudu insisted that national development must translate into real gains for citizens across all levels of governance. Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in 2023, has officially joined the coalition-backed African Democratic Congress. Obi announced his defection in Enugu today. The former governor of Anambra State said his defection ahead of the 2027 elections is aimed at transforming and rescuing Nigeria. Adamawa State government has cancelled all activities scheduled for the 2025 crossover night celebrations at the Unity flyover in Jimeta, Yola, citing security concerns. The cancellation affects events planned for the night of December 31st, 2025 through the early hours of January 4th, 2026. The state government noted that the decision followed credible intelligence reports indicating potential security risk around the venue. Lagos State government has announced the cancellation of the Greater Lagos Festa 2025, which was scheduled to hold on December 31st, 2025. The announcement was conveyed in a statement issued by the governor's special advisor on media and publicity, Boyega Akosile, following the approval of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. According to the statement, Sanwo-Olu directed that in place of the annual Greater Lagos Fest, also known as the Countdown to 2026, residents of the state should spend quality time in personal prayers for the nation, the state, and the people of Lagos. The Federal Road Maintenance Agency has commenced rehabilitation works on the Ilorin-Ogbomoso Highway as part of the effort to ensure safer and smoother travel during the festive season. The officer in charge of the agency's Kwara State Field Office, Lukman Omimakun, disclosed these to newsmen during an on-spot inspection of the ongoing works on the federal highway. Omimago urged motorists to drive responsibly and protect public infrastructure, as he described road safety as a collective responsibility. The new year is just hours away, and across Nigeria, the atmosphere is filled with excitement, hope, and renewed expectations. As 2026 approaches, many Nigerians are looking forward to celebrating the moment in different ways. Despite prevailing economic and social challenges, Global Television's Ubong Osoro reports.
Some residents say the plan to usher in 2026 in churches and mosques, thanking God for the gift of life and praying for a better year ahead.
I plan to spend this new year very fantastic and chill with good health, because without health we cannot spend the new year.
I'll spend it normally. Even today is my birthday, so me and my brother will soon go for Photoshop.
Others say they will celebrate with families and friends at home, sharing meals, exchanging goodwill messages, and reflecting on the lessons of the outgoing year.
As always with family. Well, the year is always very busy.
However, some Nigerians admit that the economic realities will influence how they celebrate, opting for modest gatherings while still remaining hopeful that the new year will offer improved living conditions and opportunities. Despite individual differences in celebration plans, a common message cuts across the voices of the streets: hope for peace, progress, and prosperity in the coming year. As the nation counts down to 2026, Nigerians remain optimistic, believing that the new year will open doors to better days ahead. Ubong Osoro for Global Television News. From religious gathering and family reunions to quiet.
Rising insecurity across Nigeria is increasingly putting the education sector under pressure, with boarding schools outside major cities becoming a growing concern for parents, from kidnappings to attacks on schools in rural communities. Many families are now questioning whether it is still safe to keep their children in boarding schools located far away from urban centers. Kabir Hassan spoke with parents to get their opinions.
Education remains a cornerstone of national development, but insecurity is gradually eroding parent confidence, especially when it comes to boarding schools located outside city centers. Across Nigeria, many boarding schools are situated in remote areas, often chosen for their quiet learning environment. However, ongoing security challenges have turned these once attractive locations into sources of fear for parents. On the streets of Abuja, parents shared mixed feelings torn between the desire to give their children quality education and the growing concern for their safety.
What government should do is to make sure that all the schools, especially these colleges that are under federal government and other private schools outside the city, to make sure that they deploy security agencies, something like police, armies, and other security agencies.
If you don't have good management who protect the school, who have good securities around that environment, there will also be problem of insecurity.
Some parents say the situation has forced them to constantly live in fear, while others admit they have considered withdrawing their children or relocating them to day schools within the city. They argue that while education is important, safety must come first, especially in a country grappling with persistent security threats.
Parents should allow their children to stay at home for now, because their safety is more important than education.
The best thing the federal government should do is to make sure that the police, the army, and other security agencies are being deployed to various schools across the country.
The security must be technologically oriented, not just technology doesn't compromise. You hear of security operatives depart from a checking point, then there's an attack. But if the technology it should not compromise.
Many wondered continued insecurity could discourage enrollment in boarding schools and further strain Nigeria's education system. Parents are calling on government at all levels to strengthen security around schools, particularly those in rural and semi-urban areas, to restore confidence and protect the future of Nigerian children. Kabir Hassan, reporting for Global TV News.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. When News Express returns, banks to start charging 50 naira stamp duty from January 4th. Details coming shortly, plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this week. Please stay with us. Welcome back from that short break. And in business news, crude oil and condensate product data from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission indicates that Nigeria produced a total of 443.25 million barrels of crude oil between January and October 2025. According to the Commission's report, this translates to an average of about 1.46 million barrels per day, despite intermittent improvement. The output level meant that Africa's largest oil producer remained below its 1.5 million barrels per day crude oil quota set by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, achieving about 97% of the quota during the 10-month period. Following the implementation of the Tax Act, the Central Bank of Nigeria says banks will start charging senders a 50 naira stamp duty on electronic transfers of 10,000 naira and above from January 1st, 2026. The stamp duty or electronic money transfer levy is a single one-off charge of 50 naira on electronic receipt or transfer of money deposited in any commercial money bank or financial institution on any type of accounts on sum of 10,000 naira and above. The regulatory bank said it remains committed to transparency and keeping customers informed about charges that may affect their banking transactions. As Nigerians prepare to implement a new tax law from January 4, 2026, concerns and expectations are growing among citizens, from traders to professionals, many trying to understand how the law will affect their income and daily lives. Global Television's Priscilla Obasi reports.
As conversations around the 2026 tax laws begin to surface, the question is not just about what the policy says, but who actually understands it. So we stepped out to ask everyday Nigerians one simple question. Have you heard about the 2026 tax law, and what comes to your mind when you do?
When I heard about the new tax law, I felt that it could be another means of generating more revenue for the nation. But on the other hand, based on the the narratives out there, it's as if another way again to exploit the citizens.
Me, I felt we've already started paying a lot of tax already because of the VAT and everything they take from, you go to the supermarket to buy something, anything you buy, they remove money, you recharge, they remove, you pay into somebody's account, they remove, somebody pay into your account, they remove, and the rest. I think that one is already enough tax. I think so.
While some residents expressed concerns about increased financial pressure amidst economic hardship, others said effective taxation could improve governance if managed transparently.
It's not bad, because if you are in level 1, you will still struggle to go to upper level.
To provide clarity on the policy, a tax expert who appeared on Global Morning explained that the new law is designed to simplify the tax system and improve accountability, but warned that public awareness and fairness will be key to its success.
A lot of people get this confused, right? It's not your whole salary that will be taxed. You will still get some statutory deductions that are allowable, for ascertaining your taxable income. Those will still be allowable even in the new regime. And then the tax table has also been revised from what it used to be.
As the policy draws close to implementation, the conversation continues around communication, trust, and implementation. For now, the conversation continues. I am Priscilla Obasi, reporting for Global Television News.
Urge developing countries to play a more active role in shaping global trade standards, warning that a rapidly expanding set of international rules is increasingly tilting economic benefits towards wealthy nations and large multinational companies. In its World Development Report 2025 Standards for Development, the bank said standards covering areas ranging from food labeling to 5G communications have become a form of fundamental economic infrastructure as critical to growth as road, ports, and power systems. The document noted that while standards have helped reduce trade frictions and boost global commerce, they have also been used as non-tariff barriers in trade disputes. On the foreign scene, Mali and Burkina Faso have announced travel restrictions on the American nationals in a tit-for-tat move after the United States included both African countries on a non-entry list. In a statement issued separately by both countries' foreign ministries, they said they were imposing equivalent measures on United States citizens after President Donald Trump expanded a travel ban to nearly 40 countries this month based solely on nationality. Burkina Faso's foreign ministry said in a statement that it was applying equivalent visa measures on Americans, while Mali said it was with immediate effect applying the same conditions and requirements on American nationals that the American authorities have imposed on Malian citizens entering the United States. United States has pledged an initial $2 billion for United Nations humanitarian aid in 2026, far less than it has provided in recent years. The United Nations therefore wants its agencies to adapt, shrink, or die. Uyi Abomofwebe has the rest of the reports.
With its pledge announced at the U.S. mission in Geneva alongside UN Aid Chief Tom Fletcher, the United States is pursuing a dramatic overhaul of how it funds humanitarian work. Instead of handing funds to individual agencies, the United States will funnel its contributions through the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, headed by Fletcher, which earlier this year launched a so-called humanitarian reset to improve efficiency and accountability.
We're announcing $2 billion, which is a sizable commitment. A few things about that number. It is not our only commitment to this project. It is an initial anchor commitment tied to these 17 countries. As many of you know, our budget process in the United States is convoluted, to say the least. We do not have a fiscal 2026 budget. So, I think, as Tom said, we're going to be spinning up this new system, and we're going to hold him to account. And I think he expects that, as he just said.
Fletcher, who is British, said the U.S. pledge is an extraordinary commitment, noting that reform of the humanitarian system is in the pipeline, with an opportunity for U.S. taxpayers to see how their money is saving lives.
$2 billion goes a huge way to saving millions of lives, and it anchors this plan for 2026, where we are seeking to reach 87 million people with life-saving support. Now, of course, this won't fund all of that. We're looking to raise $23 billion for that entire plan, and our work now is to go out and take that case to other donors to respond with generosity.
The UN's Central Emergency Response Fund, which provides swift aid as new emergencies erupt or when existing crisis rapidly deteriorates, will also receive a tranche of money. Uyi Agmofwebe, reporting for Global TV News.
And in sports, Nigerian midfielder Raphael Onyedika is basking in the joy of scoring a brazen Nigerians a 3-1 win over Uganda, which held the Super Eagles to a perfect group stage campaign at the ongoing 2025 AFCON in Morocco. in his first ever AFCON start for Nigeria that marked his return to the starting lineup since November 2024 with 2 goals within 5 minutes. He got his first in the 62nd minute when Samuel Chukwueze found him. He surged into the box and slotted through the Uganda goalkeeper's leg to put the contest beyond all doubts. Nigerian's Haruna Kadri has finished 2025 as African top-ranked table tennis player in the final yearly rankings released on Tuesday by the International Table Tennis Federation. Kadri, who has held the continental #1 position for most of the year, closed the season ranked 28th in the world with 1,065 points, making him the only African player to surpass the 1,000 points mark on the men's ranking. Egypt's Omar Assar is next best on the continent, setting 32nd globally with the 965 points in the ranking published as 2026 week 1. As Global TV News Express comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. On Global TV News Express, the National Association of Nigerian Students has demanded the immediate sack of the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zach Adedeji, over what is described as gross incompetence, poor performance, and total failure, especially in the design, execution, and public enlightenment about the tax reform law scheduled to take place from January 1st, 2026. In business, following the implementation of the Tax Act, banks will start charging senders a 50 naira stamp duty on electronic transfer of 10,000 naira and above from January 1st, 2026. On foreign scene, Mali and Burkina Faso have announced travel restrictions on American nationals in a tit-for-tat move after the United States included both African countries on a non-entry list. In sport, Nigerian midfielder Raphael Onyedika is basking in the joy of soaring a brazen Nigerians a 3-1 win over Uganda, which powered the Super Eagles to a perfect group stage campaign at the ongoing 2025 AFCON in Morocco. And that's it on News Express. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channels 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using our Global TV NG. I am Sadia Yakubu saying thank you for watching.